Hey everybody, happy new year. It's 2024. Can you believe that? I can't believe that.
I don't care.
Yeah, it's not like it makes a difference.
They're all the same.
They're all the same.
Yeah.
That's the spirit.
I'm trying to ignore them.
No, yeah, I mean, it is. They are kind of all the same.
Kind of like birthdays. I just ignore that shit.
Well, like I said, birthdays are good because you get presents and cake. I don't care about getting older.
Yeah, I don't take them to heart, though.
No, I don't either.
There are too many of them.
Yeah, they start stacking up. They start stacking up.
They start stacking up on your ass, and you're like, God damn.
Sure.
Yeah. All right. Is Xánada in
yes,
there?
Yes, Xánada is here. Hooray!
Good.
Yeah.
Xánada sent me this movie. Wanted me to review it. I have seen this movie before, but a long time ago.
Yeah, I saw this. I don't think I saw it in the theater, but I think I saw it as soon as it came out on DVD or whatever.
It's an all-star cast. Got Johnny Depp's in it, playing Hunter S. Thompson.
Johnny Depp is great in this.
Yeah, he's fucking great. It's got Benicio del Toro in it.
I love him. I love him in everything.
He's playing Hunter S. Thompson's lawyer. What was his name?
Yeah, well, Dr. Gonzo in the movie,
Gonzo,
but he's based on a real guy.
Yeah.
But you know.
Yeah, and some have criticized the movie that there's no story. Oh no, there's a story. There's a fucking story. We're talking about this is a drug adventure. This is a drug adventure comedy. These two crazy motherfuckers that were real people in real life. Or actually, they said Dr. Gonzo might have just been based. He was based on a real guy, but that wasn't a composite of any.
No, it was based on a real person.
Based
on a real person named Oscar Zeta Acosta.
Yeah, and
who was indeed a lawyer.
Yeah, and then his friend Hunter Thompson, who was
going under
a journalist,
Raoul Duke.
Yeah, he was a journalist, but he was kind of like an outlaw journalist. He did a lot of fucking cool shit in his time. Got into a lot of trouble. This is back when journalists did shit. But he'd get so high he'd forget to do the job.
He'd forgot what he was doing.
And he'd just come up with a news story. But this is a great flick. If you've ever done a bunch of LSD or gotten really fucking hammered, you will totally relate to this. This is about the time they go to Las Vegas and just get really fucked up.
And do all the drugs that have ever been invented in the history of man.
They get into all kinds of fucking trouble, and they try to get out of the trouble. The trouble includes underage girls who try to fucking latch on.
Which was worse in real life. The event was worse.
Okay.
They kind of softened it a bit for them.
Softened it, yeah. But, the girl's played by Christina Ricci.
Yeah,
a kind of a more grown Christina Ricci.
I had forgotten she was in this movie.
Yeah, this is when she got real voluptuous. She wasn't that little skinny girl anymore.
Yeah, this was 98.
She was curvy. She looked good. I thought she looked great. A little short.
She still looks real young in this.
Yeah, she's real young. Probably about 17, 18.
Yeah.
And then, shit, man, fucking Gary Busey's in it. Plays a cop that needs a kiss.
That, you know what I heard?
Shit.
I heard that line, which made me bust up laughing because I forgot about that line. That whole thing where Gary Busey pulls over, Raoul Duke or whatever, Hunter S. Thompson, and the last thing he says is like ask him for a little kiss. It's like he gets so lonely out here and stuff like that. Apparently, Gary Busey like ad-libbed that.
Did it? Yeah.
And
it was crazy enough.
When Hunter S. Thompson saw the movie, he's like, man, I would never say nothing like that. But Terry Gilliam, the director, thought it was so funny that he left it in there. Which, I mean, glad he left it in there because that shit is funny. Because
Gary Busey said that, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Oh, okay, but Hunter S. Thompson didn't say it.
No.
Okay, but he said he'd never say it. Or he said that cop would never said that.
No, yeah, he said that, he just said that didn't happen. That didn't happen like that or whatever, yeah.
It was crazy, though. It's good that they left it in there.
I know, because it was just like so random. That was like one of the best like fucking lines.
Yeah, the cop's going off on him at the end. He goes, "Can I have a kiss? I get lonely."
It's just like so out of left field that I was just like, I totally forgot. Because like I said, I saw this movie a long time ago. I think I saw it whenever it first came out on DVD. I think I rented it. So what was that? 2000 maybe? 1999, 2000.
Yeah, and this is the first time I had ever heard somebody mentioned it, adrenochrome ever mentioned.
Yeah.
That it came from pituitary glands of terrified kids, that they got it from a Satanist.
Yeah.
They were taking it. I don't know if that's true. It doesn't sound...
It sounds very satanic panicky, but it's not impossible, I guess.
The thing is, though, is, like I said, I inject hormones and synthetic hormones. If there's going to get something out of a pituitary gland, those hormones are not going to stay. They're not going to have a real short half-life. There's got to be some kind of way to get those to chemically fix themselves so you could actually use them in some way. That sounds like a tall tale. And usually what ends up happening in like biochemistry and the manufacture of drugs, it's far more efficient to synthetically produce that hormone in a laboratory than it is to get it out of a gland.
Yeah, I mean, because that would be a huge pain in the ass.
It's better to just know what the molecule looks like, and then you use chemical processes to make it, and then you do something like give it an ester, which is like carbon shells around it, so it can stay in storage, and when you put it in your body, it'll last for a long time instead of it just fizzles. Most of those hormones, like if you were just inject pure testosterone into your body, like from one person to another, in an hour it would be gone. It just doesn't have any staying power. You know what I mean? It's meant to be produced on site and used on site. So the adrenochrome story sounds like a wild tale, and that tale kind of lives on. There's some people in the conspiracy circles think that they're harvesting adrenochrome out of little kids and then using it, and say it sounds unlikely. It's easier just to make that shit.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
A lot of unless it was like some super fringe thing where people were doing it just for the kicks because they wanted it out of a real person.
Yeah, out of a little kid.
That if you were just going to sell the drug like for profit, which most people would, then yeah, it would behoove you to make it.
Or if you're just going to use it.
Yeah.
You know, you're using it on
much
just
easier.
Make it.
And much less chance of getting like life in prison. Or
most of that stuff's made out of commonly available materials. You just have to know the recipe. So, but anyway, it's still a great flick. It has a bunch of fucking weird shit that happens into you. Like, wait, hold on. Are they doing that or are you hallucinating? It's very kind of mind-bending. You try to keep track of what's real and what isn't real sometimes. And you forget what they're doing because they forget what they're doing.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of weird shit.
Now, the thing about this is that this is a fairly, which is crazy to say, they had been trying to make a film of this movie, like, since at least the early 90s, maybe earlier. You know, Oliver Stone wanted to do it, Martin Scorsese wanted to do it, Ralph Bakshi wanted to do it, the guy that does all the animated, like, Hobbit and Lord of the Rings and stuff. Like, he wanted to do it, and he wanted to make an animated film, which I saw another review of that, and they were like, wanted to make an animated film. I'm like, well, you know what? That might have worked. I'm not really sure. Maybe somebody could do that one of these days. That might be kind of cool. But I think even though Terry Gilliam was one of the, you know, kind of not the first choice of director, I think for a time they were going to get Alex Cox to do it. But, which, you know, that might have worked too, but I don't know. But Terry Gilliam, I think, was maybe in hindsight, like, the perfect person to do this. Because the book is, if you see this movie, it's a pretty accurate representation of the book as far as you could do that. You know what I mean? They did take some stuff out that wasn't really germane to, like, the center plot of, like, the two main characters, just to keep it from going all over the place more than it already does. But some of the stuff in that movie was, like, exactly how he described in the book. Like, they even took passages and dialogue and stuff like that directly from the book. So they tried to make it, like, accurate. And like I said, this is crazy.
It's visually really good movie too.
Yeah, and if you notice, every time they went on a different drug, because they went on a whole adventure, you know what I mean? Like, with different drugs and stuff, the cinematographer would change up the lenses and the lighting and stuff like that to make it
like you're under the influence,
more accurate to like what
drug.
The experience would be like actually being on that.
Yeah.
Which I thought was a great fucking idea.
Yeah.
Because October Wraith said, it really visually is the closest thing I've ever seen to what it's really like on 10 hits of 70s acid. I know, I lived it. I think, and particularly that one scene where he goes and tries to check into the hotel and there's like the bar and then like everybody's giant lizards. And you know what I mean? Like all the faces are stretching and the carpet's going all weird and stuff like that. Yeah, I think they did a good job with that. But yeah, I was going to say that Johnny Depp actually, because he wasn't the first actor that was picked for this either. I think John Cusack was going to do it because he had actually directed a play of the book, and so he was kind of attached for a little while. They actually, I think they wanted Jack Nicholson and Marlon Brando, but by the time they got around to making the movie, they were too old.
They'd been too old, yeah.
Obviously.
Marlon Brando, you wouldn't have been able to control him.
Well, that might have worked out. Yeah. I don't know. But to be considering, but really, I think they got the perfect Because, you know, Johnny Depp, it's like, I've seen him in some stuff that I thought he was annoying and shit like that, but he's really good he nails this. And the reason he nails it is because he lived with Hunter S. Thompson in his basement for 4 months.
Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah.
Prior to it, and he read all of his old notes, and he went through all his and all the clothes and jewelry and stuff you see him wearing. That's all Hunter's real shit.
Okay, yeah.
Like, he let him wear it. He drove his car, the Great Red Shark or whatever they called it. He's like, he drove that around for 4 months because they traded cars.
Now, there's something funny I want to say about this character. You get to in this movie, you get to see you get to see fucking what's his name? You confuse me. Shit.
Well, who are you talking about?
The guy who played Hunter S. Thompson. It's just on the tip of my tongue.
Johnny Depp.
Johnny Depp, yeah. You get to see a young, really good-looking Johnny Depp. He's in his prime, right? And he's bald in this. He's rocking the fucking receding hairline. He's just got hair on the side. He's wearing the old man hats, the fucking glasses.
Yeah, those are actually all. And Hunter S. Thompson cut Johnny Depp's hair just because Hunter S. Thompson had male pattern baldness. That wasn't a haircut.
Yeah.
So he cut it. The story I heard was that he cut it in his bathroom while wearing a miner's helmet with a lamp on it.
Yeah.
That's the story I heard. I don't know if that's true or not.
It's funny to see Johnny Depp with that hair.
Yeah.
He's still good looking. But it's just...
Because he was still pretty young. I mean, he was still pretty young in this.
You always imagine him, you know, Johnny Depp with fucking full head of hair, you know, basically male heartthrob type characters, you know. But this guy, he's just this wacky fucking reporter or, you know, journalist wearing some... What's funny is that he's wearing clothes that we associate with an old guy. But really, that old guy was wearing those when he was young. So
that's why we associate with old guys, because by the time, because they were still wearing those clothes when they got old.
When they got old, they were still dressed like that. So
they still dressed like that.
It's just funny to see a young guy dressed like that.
Yeah.
But it's great, man. He does a great job in that role. Everybody does a great job. Tobey Maguire shows up in it. He's a kid in it.
I had forgotten.
Basically.
And his hair is also crazy in this one. He's got like a receding hairline and this like thin
white mullet,
white blonde like long hair and stuff.
Yeah,
he's only in it for like 2 minutes. Like he plays this hitchhiker that they.
He does a good job though. His whole job is just to have these fucked up expressions because he doesn't know what the fuck. He was just hitchhiking and got picked up by these guys. By these fucking nuts
that are on like all that have. Okay, so the story behind this movie, if you don't know, so the book came out in 1971. Hunter S. Thompson, very famously, was a kind of founded gonzo journalism, which is kind of, you know how prior to that, like if you were in the media or you were a journalist, you were supposed to remain like objective, you know what I mean, and not become part of the story. But like gonzo journalism was kind of like you jumped in and you became part of the shit, you know what I mean? So that's kind of what this is. And ostensibly, he was sent to Vegas to cover... it was like a motorcycle race, right? Like motorcycles and dune buggies, like the Mint 400. But very quickly, before they even got there, him and Dr. Gonzo, who, you know, in real life was his friend Oscar, they said, yeah, we're going to go out to Vegas to cover this race. And they rented this red, was it a Cadillac?
It was a white
Cadillac. It was a Chevy Impala.
Okay.
It was a Chevy Impala. It was a convertible.
The Cadillac they had was white.
Yeah. That's right, but the red one they rented. So they're going to drive out to the desert, and they bring a humongous suitcase of drugs. All kinds of drugs of all different descriptions.
Yeah.
And they're basically going to... kind of the theme of it, if there's a theme of anything, is they're trying to find the heart of the American dream, I guess. Yeah. So the thing about it is that when they were first talking about making this movie, and when Terry Gilliam was first kind of like attached to it, he said that the producers wanted him to update the book to the 90s, like, you know, to the contemporary time when the movie was made. And he's like, that would have been that would have been a stupid idea.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been the same
because
story.
he's like, if you made it in the 90s, it would just be two guys going apeshit, like, on drugs, like, big deal. But he's like, you know what I mean? If you set it in 1971, you know, with the backdrop of, like, the end of hippie culture and, like, the Vietnam War and all that kind of stuff, it's like suddenly you get this kind of you know, like I said, end of the American dream kind of thing, where it wouldn't have had that same cultural resonance had you said it in the 90s. Like you said, it just would have been two people going batshit on all the drugs.
Yeah.
And doing crazy shit. But, you know, it's funny. Like, it's a funny movie, but I imagine that if you had to deal with the two of them,
oh, man.
like, on this, that would have been a fucking nightmare. Because there's some bad shit, like, toward the end, because there's one scene in there, and even Terry Gilliam said that, you know, he wanted this to be kind of their low point, where they go into that diner, and they're basically threatening that waitress.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean?
She thought she was going to get robbed and raped or something.
Yeah, which is horrible.
Yeah.
So the reason they left that scene in there was because he's like, well, I mean, that really did happen. And he's like, and I wanted to show that this was like their low point. They'd like gone beyond the pale, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, they were suffering from basically brain exhaustion too. I mean, their brains were pretty fried. They had been doing fucking a lot of drugs for a long period of time by that time. So they weren't in their right minds.
Clearly not. I don't even know how they were.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the funniest scenes to me too is like when they first, I don't even remember what's this right after they took the ether, and then they started going into that one casino that was like, it's supposed to be Circus, but the real casino wouldn't let them film in there, so they had to like make like a mock-up. And they're like walking like super crazy, like they're all like their legs are like all like that, and they're just like they have no fucking idea what's going on.
So what was the real story about the girl? They come up, the dude shows up with this girl. What's his name?
Dr. Gonzo.
Dr. Gonzo shows up with some girl, and she's got all these paintings of
Barbara Streisand. She came all the way out to Vegas to meet Barbara Streisand.
She ran away, evidently. She's underage. And he's kind of taking care of her. He gave her some acid. But then...
and she, I don't know how old she was supposed to be.
But Hunter shows up, and he's like, no, man, we got to get rid of her.
So this is bad. First,
he was going
to pimp her out.
I think he goes, you were a sick man. He was tripping on drugs, and I don't know. It seemed like the way he was saying it, it was like he was fucking with him.
I wasn't sure.
I think he was fucking with her about him. I think he was fucking with him about her, so he would get rid of her. That's what I think.
Yeah, maybe that's what it was.
But then he goes, we got to get rid of her. Fucking, that's too much trouble. That's a lot of heat. The cops and shit. She's underage, and they just take her to another hotel and buy her a room and drop her off there.
Yeah, just leave her there.
Just leave her there. She keeps calling back, and they making up stories that the gangsters are fucking after her.
Or they're like beating them up.
They know, and they know where she lives, and
they're gonna come get her. So it's like you better not contact us
anymore. You forget all about her, and then towards the end of the movie, they're running from the cops or something, and somebody's crossing the street in front of them. They slam on the brakes. And it's her. She's walking around with fucking paintings,
all of her paintings.
with all her paintings under her arms, and it's just fucking funny. And it's Christina Ricci playing it.
What I heard of the real story, it's been a long time since I read the book, but she was underage for sure. And when Hunter S. Thompson came into the hotel room, Dr. Gonzo, or Oscar, was actually naked.
Okay, yeah.
So you were led to assume that he had had sex with her.
Yeah. How old was she in real life?
I don't know.
Didn't say yet.
Younger than she looked in the movie, I think.
Okay. Yeah.
But so in the movie, you know, you could assume that might have happened, but they actually kind of put a robe or a muumuu type thing on him, so it wouldn't look quite as scandalous, I guess.
He was asking her for a kiss, and she's like, no.
Yeah, so I guess they were trying to imply it without being too, getting in too much trouble, I guess. But I think, like, in real life, he was totally naked, like, when Hunter came in the hotel room.
That's all you know about it?
That's pretty much all, that's like all I remember about it. But I know that they kind of toned it down for the movie a little bit, because like I said, I know they don't want to get in trouble. But see, so the thing about this movie is that I feel like this was ahead of its time a bit.
Yeah.
Because this came out, the weird thing about it is
everybody was talking about it when it came out.
Well, the weird thing about it was a financial flop.
Yeah.
It was a complete failure. It got like... Some people really liked it at the time, like it got some okay reviews, but like some people like super hated it because they were like, "Look, nothing happens." Blah blah blah. 98.
Okay. Yeah.
So it kind of got really mixed reviews, tending toward the negative. But the weird thing about it is that I feel like the book, when it came out, was like really critically praised, and the movie is pretty close to what happens in the book. Maybe like even softens it a little bit, but it's kind of similar. I mean, it just seems really weird that the things that people were offended by in the movie or didn't like about the movie were kind of the same things that people tended to like about the book. The weird thing about it was that even the movie did really bad. It got people interested in Hunter S. Thompson again, and his book sales went like way up.
Yeah.
Like after this movie came out, but people didn't like the movie. But the thing about it is that now it's obviously like a cult classic, so I kind of feel like it maybe came out too early.
Yeah.
And I will note that it does seem that it's still kind of one of those divisive films, probably less so than when it came out, but because I'm not going to say nothing happens in it, but it is kind of like just a road trip, drug trip type of movie. So it's very episodic. It's not like a 3-act structure.
And there were other movies like this.
Yeah.
Just that they're kind of forgotten, and they weren't. You couldn't take them as seriously because they weren't based on reality. A good example would be Cheech and Chong's movies. They were drug trip movies.
Yeah, it's a similar
but they
kind of
weren't
thing.
based on anything that was real. They were just made the shit up. And there really wasn't a story there either. Just getting high and the crazy shit that happens.
And just crazy shit happening.
Yeah, and space coke and everything. You know, fucking the UFOs land and they give fucking Chong some space coke. And he
my dad loves Cheech and Chong.
It was funny is that
he had all the records and everything.
I remember being a kid, listening to the records in the late 70s and early 80s and thinking that shit was really funny. You can listen to that on YouTube now. You listen; it's not funny at all. It didn't age well at all. It was funny then.
It was funny at the time.
It was funny at the time, but
this shit is still funny though. I would submit.
Yeah, because it's based on shit that happened.
Yeah, this shit really happens.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I know it's a weird thing to say because this movie's like borders on surreal.
Yeah.
But from a subjective point of view, it's based on some shit that really happened, and it's trying to give you the experience that they would have had going through that experience.
Imagine if Naked Lunch really happened.
We got to do that movie too, because I just saw that pop up on one of our streaming services, maybe on HBO Max or Prime or something like that, and I was like, shit, I haven't seen that movie in so long, and it's like, I really want to do that one.
You see Naked Lunch, that's a movie that's based upon a book called Naked Lunch that is nothing like the movie. It's just, and it's written by under the influence of all different kinds of drugs. And every 3 pages, the story's different because he's so high, he can't tell you the stories. They made a few of the things, I could barely get through it. A few of the things in the book, did show up in the movie, kinda. Like having sex with your typewriter being alive. That was
the typewriter turning into a bug.
That kind of stuff was.
Wasn't he snorting bug spray or bug powder or something?
Yeah, I don't think that was in the book though. It was a long time.
That might have been just the movie.
Just the movie. But that's a good one too. And if you're trying to make sense out of that one, you're good luck.
See, that's not the kind of literature that it is. That's not the kind of movie.
He was a beat writer. What was that guy's name that wrote that shit?
William S. Burroughs.
William S. Burroughs. That's right. Who did all kinds of nasty shit in real life. And his girlfriend.
Yeah. Well, see, that's the thing. It's like these kind of movies, that kind of literature, stuff like that. You just kind of have to relax and let it wash over you. You can't get too concerned about like
whether or not it's real
or plot or character. It's not, you know what I mean? It's experimental.
Yeah. So
you just kind of have to take it as it comes. Which, like I said, this is too. It is a series of incidents, but it's not like a 3-act structure. It's basically just 2 guys doing all the drugs and just going through this and just shit getting worse and worse and worse. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then it kind of... Now, some people have said, and even Terry Gilliam said this, and he said he thought this about the book too, that it doesn't have a real good ending. Like the ending is just kind of stops, or it's, you know what I mean? It's just kind of abrupt or whatever. But I didn't really mind that though, like about the movie. You know?
No, it was over.
Yeah, that was the end of the story.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Everybody just went back home and went back to their regular lives.
Like it is when you get done with a binge.
Yeah.
It's just over.
I can't imagine, because I think October Wraith was saying before that they don't know how they're still alive because they were on acid in the 70s for like 3 years straight or something.
Yeah. What's weird is that like when they were in the hotels, sometimes they had trashed those hotel rooms, just trashed them. In one scene, they're knee deep in water, and it had to have been a hallucination because a fucking hotel room can't hold that much water. It would go through the floor.
Yeah, like I said, you can't really get too concerned about is this really happening or not. It could just be their perception.
Right.
I mean, it could be. Well, there was that whole... I love that whole sequence, too, where Benicio del Toro, like Dr. Gonzo, is in the tub, and he tries to get Duke to throw the radio in there so he can hear the music better.
No,
it's Jefferson Airplane.
Was it a radio?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought it was a tape recorder. Oh, he was trying to.
Or it was a tape recorder. Yeah,
He was throwing a tape recorder in to electrocute him.
Yeah,
to kill him.
But also, he wanted him to throw it in there like when the music got to its like ultimate peak. You know what I mean?
Yeah. During when White Rabbit.
It was White Rabbit.
Right when White Rabbit got just
you
right
have to throw
the
it
fucking thing.
And he's like, okay, I'll totally. But then he
There's these two dudes just tripping, and they're trying to help each other and get through their trips. It's just fucking funny.
And they've trashed so many hotel rooms.
Yeah.
They seemingly never got in trouble though, because
they seem like never got in trouble.
It really, I mean, I know it was the 70s and it was kind of a more freewheeling time, but I mean, Benicio
they would charge
del Toro,
you for damage.
Well, that's what I mean. Well,
Yeah.
So Dr. Gonzo threatened people in the elevator with a knife, including Cameron Diaz, and the other people that were in there.
Cute ass Cameron Diaz before she was famous.
Yeah, she was only in like one scene.
Yeah.
And I forgot she was in this too.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he did that. They trashed several hotel rooms, like really trashed them.
Yeah.
So and they were just like running around. I don't even fucking know.
Pulled a gun on. They jumped on the maid and pulled a gun on her.
That's right.
And threatened her not to tell anybody because she thought they were narcotics cops.
Yeah, that's right.
And for them to get out of it, they pretended to hire her and make her an informant. They said, "We're going to call you and send you $1,000 every month." She's like, yeah, okay. And they recruited her.
And I was like, that poor lady. She's going to be like, where's my money?
Although it wasn't a gun he was pointing at. He was holding something else like it was a gun.
Yeah.
That's what it was, yeah.
It wasn't a gun. It was like,
a gun.
What was it? It was like a cane or a...
I don't remember what
part
it was.
of it. Yeah, it was like a...
Part of a shower head or something.
Or something like that. But yeah, he was pointing at it and she was just like totally rolling with it.
Yeah.
But the thing about it was that they were at this other hotel because after they didn't really even cover the motorcycle race that they first got sent out there to cover, then they got another assignment. He got another assignment where he had to get it and cover like a anti-drug... But it was like the district attorney's convention or something, and they were doing like some big anti-drug thing. That scene was also fucking hilarious, where that dude was up there talking about marijuana addicts and just being completely clueless about what fucking drugs did and everything, and they just like couldn't take it because they're sitting there going, oh my god, this dude doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. But yeah, I mean, Johnny Depp is great in this. Like I said, it doesn't surprise me that he lived with Hunter S. Thompson for 4 months to get all of his voice and his mannerisms and everything like that. But I think really Benicio del Toro is the underrated star of this movie. He just went balls to the wall.
Yeah.
Crazy. Oh, and also he gained 45 pounds for this role.
Got fat, yeah.
He ate 16 donuts a day.
Damn. And Thompson kept calling him a
Samoan. He's not
I don't think he was a Samoan.
No,
I think he was Mexican.
The real guy, as well as the actor, are Mexican.
But he wanted him to be a Samoan. He kept calling him a Samoan.
Well, what I heard was that they changed it to Samoan in the movie or in the book, or that he changed it to Samoan in the book so that no one would know it was the real person, even though it's like obviously that's who it was.
Trying to hide the identity.
Everybody knew who it was.
Well, what was great is that he would say, as your lawyer, I recommend you go in the mezzanine cabinet and get those pills and fucking take fire.
As your lawyer, I would advise.
He was making Thompson take drugs.
Yeah.
Using his powers as an attorney.
Yeah.
That's right. I advise, as your lawyer, I advise you to take 5 minutes to answer. And he's like, oh, should I? Okay.
Which is that's a great angle. I love that he did that a bunch of times.
And he was saying it serious too.
Yeah, he was totally serious about it. Well, I mean, the kind of cool thing about it, as crazy as this movie is, like all the crazy visuals and all the shit that happens, like when they're at that circus casino and shit like that, like the whole thing with the and this it was only a second, but I was just like, oh my god, that's fucking brilliant. With the trapeze artist, and the trapeze artist, like somebody catches her, she's like pregnant, and then like the baby pops out, like on the
he hits her with a sledgehammer in the belly.
The baby pops out of the fucking on the umbilical cord.
Yeah,
I was like, oh my god, that's fucking great. I wish I'd see. And Terry Gilliam, I think, actually just thought of that. I don't think that was in the book. But
I thought that was kind of a cool idea where Hunter S. Thompson, gonzo journalist, justifies to himself that his attorney must be with him at all times. On all these missions, he's got to have his attorney with him.
Yeah.
But he's just his buddy. They get high with. He's
just his drug buddy.
He doesn't need an attorney. He just has to come up with an excuse why he needs an attorney to himself, I guess. I don't know, or just to keep him around so they can get high.
And maybe he could get drugs easier. I don't know.
Maybe he
had better connections.
He had better drug connections. Of course.
Maybe that's what it was.
Yeah. This is drug friend.
I mean, the thing about it is, I feel like I'm amazed that some people from this era
dudes could have drug friends.
Are still alive. I don't think that's the case. I've known girls that had drug friends.
Yeah, I guess so. I'm just talking about two dudes that just hang out so they could do drugs. So
they're just doing all the drugs.
They're just doing all the drugs. They're just...
Well, I mean...
I've never seen two girls hang out just to do drugs. I've seen girls hang out with guys to do drugs. Those are strawberries. You know?
Yeah.
But two dudes just hanging out doing drugs.
Well, like you said before, dudes' friendships seem very like well, they seem very kind of like activity centered.
Yeah.
Whether it's video games or taking adrenochrome or whatever it happens to be. That's just your friend for that. Yeah, this is the friend that I go to strip clubs and go visit hookers with.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of like, that's very funny that you have like a friend for each activity.
Yeah.
That's your that activity.
You got gun friends, motorcycle friends, hooker friends. Yeah.
Who are your hooker friends?
I don't have hooker friends.
Yeah.
Not anymore. Back when I was in the Army, I had all kinds of
I was going to say, you got to say that or you get in trouble.
Not anymore. I had hooker friends.
So we had a hooker friend. But yeah, what I was going to say is that dudes like this, I can't believe, and even what you were saying, October Wraith, it's like, because they were saying, I'm not sure how I've lived this long, but I did acid for about 3 years straight in the 70s. Then came cocaine and everything else. Now I just smoke bud and cigarettes and beers. Honestly, I can't imagine like how, because the drugs I feel like were a lot stronger back then, and people took a lot more of them.
LSD was.
So I don't even know how some people.
By all accounts, they didn't have it dosed right. Like one hit was equivalent to like 4 hits back then, maybe more. Now a hit of acid is on paper is controllable. It's not
I mean it wasn't.
Yeah. Like
it was effective.
Yeah.
But it wasn't. I wasn't seeing like rooms full of lizards or anything.
No. You take a whole album cover, which is 4 of them, because it used to be that 4 of them had made an album cover. The album cover a lot of time was Dark Side of the Moon.
Well, of course.
Yeah, of course. Sometimes I did see some Led Zeppelin ones too. Houses of the Holy.
Oh yeah, that's a good one too.
You took all 4 of them, you were trashed. You were fucking. That was a lot. That was enough. You're on the moon. You know how it's where you can still deal with reality.
Yeah.
Not on 4.
Yeah.
On 4, you're gonna have to stay at home.
Because I was still. I mean, we didn't go anywhere.
Right.
On it, but I still was lucid enough.
Yeah.
To know that what I was seeing, it's like, oh, well, that's real, but that's probably not real. You know what I mean? Like weird shit that I was seeing.
Yeah.
Like, so I wasn't freaking out about it or anything.
Yeah.
It was so I just kind of kept my wits about me mostly.
Yeah. We used to drive on it in high school.
Yeah. See, I can't imagine.
Yeah, we could drive on it. But
I don't even like driving on. I don't even like driving when I'm completely sober.
You had to let it wear off. You had to let it wear off.
Well, I hope so.
As it started to wear down. You could drive well on it. You could drive on that a lot better than you could on alcohol.
Well, you know what? If you have to be on something to drive, which I'd rather you weren't, probably I would pick acid over alcohol. Because at least acid, at least you kind of know, you're lucid. Like I said, alcohol, you're just like, blah, whatever, blah. Yeah. You know what I mean?
And your reflexes are okay.
Right. Yeah, and alcohol, you're just like, right. I mean? Like, at least I am. Yeah, they're talking about, Camp Guy said, I tried to read Naked Lunch. It was incomprehensible. Yeah, right. And then High Desert said, Burroughs is just unreadable.
Yeah, I can't read it.
Camp Guy said, James Joyce's Ulysses is pretty hard to understand, but at least it's partially accessible. Yeah, I found it's out there, but you can understand parts of it. Xánada said about this movie, it's a great movie. It aged really well. Yeah, I think it did too.
Oh yeah,
it's still funny.
You could watch this once a year.
Yeah, it's still funny. It's great, and I love the visuals. Like the visuals are so cool. And like I said, when I read about the cinematographer, what was his name? Nicola Piccone, something like that. He only has one eye. The cinematographer. Well, he had retinal cancer.
Okay.
So he had one of his eyes removed, I guess. And so he only has one eye. He's a one-eyed cinematographer. But they had the idea, they're like, every single different drug, we're going to do a slightly different So like, we're gonna use like wide angle lens for certain things, or we're gonna use like, you know, different filters where like colors bleed into one another, like when they're on mescaline or whatever. So it'll look kind of more like the experience of being on each one. You know what I mean? And it's like some of the shots they wanted it to look more like claustrophobic, like the walls were closing in and things like that. But yeah, it's just a great movie. I mean, like I said, I can see how some people might not like it because it's not a standard narrative.
If you're a square, you're not gonna like this movie.
But it's just like a fun.
It's
just like, look at these crazy people. Like, what the fuck they did on all these crazy drugs. It's just kind of hilarious.
And if you've never done any of those drugs, this is a good example.
It might make you not want to do them.
Yeah.
Or it might make you really want to do them. I'm not really sure.
And it'll make you know what the effects are like.
It depends on what kind of person you are.
Why somebody's acting that way, you know.
Right.
But you know what the effects are like.
High Desert said, didn't people complain that Depp was miscast as Thompson? I think people did at the time, but it's crazy because Hunter S. Thompson, after he met Johnny Depp, he said, I can't think of anyone else who could play me.
Yeah.
And like I said, he actually lived there, and he actually ended up really liking. They said Terry Gilliam said at the premiere, like Hunter S. Thompson came to the premiere, like to watch the movie. And when he was watching the movie, they said he was acting like he was reliving it all again. There's like he was making all of this noise like he was on a roller coaster ride, like, oh, the bats and all that other kind of shit. Like he was remembering, like having fucking acid flashbacks or something. And like Terry Gilliam thought that was so cool. He's like, oh, I guess we captured it if it's like bringing back all those memories. Because he was like reacting like, oh my God, like, you know what I mean? Like he was reliving it again. That was like so fucking funny to me. Camp guy Terry Gilliam, the only American member of Monty Python. Yeah, that's right. He makes like the coolest fucking movies, man. Like especially like visually, all his movies look like super cool. I've reviewed a few of them myself, but did we ever review what was that movie? Time Bandits? Did we ever do Time Bandits?
I don't think we reviewed it. No.
Ooh, we ought to. I love that movie.
We saw it a couple years ago, I think, didn't we?
Yeah, I think because I used to see it all the time, like on cable, and I fucking loved that movie when I was growing up.
I think I had a hard time following it or something.
You kind of got to pay attention because it kind of goes, but it jumps. Well, you know, it's about they go like different time periods.
Another one I haven't seen in a while and I want to review is I want to review Brazil.
Yeah, we need to do that.
Yeah, I remember really liking that one.
Did we review that?
I don't think we did.
Maybe we did, but I don't know.
Maybe
if we did, it was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Oh. Camp Guy said, Tammy says, there's a YouTube channel, Ninja vs. Samurai, and it has Lone Wolf and Cub TV series.
Okay, yeah. I heard
yeah. All right, yeah, we should check that out.
Where is this now?
It's a YouTube channel. Ninja vs. Samurai.
Okay.
That's cool. Man, I love Lone Wolf.
I got all the movies.
The Lone Wolf and Cub movies.
Yeah, Jen gave me like the deluxe fucking Criterion edition.
Oh, it's beautiful.
I think it's 6 movies.
Yeah, and it's like in this big like unfolding thing with all this gorgeous artwork on it.
Yeah,
it's
and all
beautiful.
this like looks like Japanese old paper, you know. And
yeah, it's super
photographs.
Cool. I love it. I love packaging. You know, I'm a graphic designer, so I get little squee about packaging.
I've only seen those movies once. I should go back and watch them again.
Yeah, I think we did a big massive review on all of them, I thought. Did we do them one at a time, or maybe we did them all at once?
Probably did them all at once. I had to go back and check. Either that or we just talked about it.
Yeah, maybe. Camp Guy said, I have had one good acid trip. The walls were waving and the colors were all neon orange and blue. That's out of maybe 5 or 10 total acid experiences. That acid must have been killer strong. It was like nothing I've ever experienced before. Nice too, not a bad trip at all. Yeah, I didn't see anything crazy. You know what I mean? Mostly everything was just kind of moving and like all the colors were like super bright. Some of the like digital numbers like on the oven and the clock and stuff looked like they were in Chinese. That kind of stuff. So it wasn't like too crazy, you know what I mean? Xánada said Hunter S. Thompson actually has a cameo in this movie. Yeah, that's right, he does. He's he's the guy that's doing acid in the bathroom. That's right.
Oh, I didn't see it, didn't know.
Oh, and I forgot, like, there were some other cameos in here, too. Flea was in it for a second.
Yeah.
Lyle Lovett is in it for a second. Who else is in this? We already said Tobey Maguire. Because I had forgotten, like, that there was all these, like...
Diaz.
Yeah, I had forgotten, like, all these super famous people were in it. And I was just like, oh, my God, that's, like, really... That's crazy. Yeah, Xana said, I heard Brazil was good, but I've never seen it.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's about... it has nothing to do with Brazil. It just has to do with a real kind of like It's a guy who works in a ministry, a government ministry that censors old newspapers and stuff.
Yeah. Oh, Danny said, yeah, we reviewed it.
We did review it?
Yeah, I
Okay.
thought we did.
It's kind of like 1984. It's a despotic kind of 1984 type socialist regime where there's real rich people who run everything and everybody else is just kind of like real mundane. And there was a revolution going on, and he falls in love with the girl who was in that revolution. He ends up getting tortured and stuff. And he's having this. He's kind of like Walter Mitty, where he has his normal life, but then he has a fantasy life where he's dealing with like idealized versions of himself and other people. It's a good flick. Robert De Niro's in it. He plays a terrorist who his job is to fix people's pipes, plumbing, in violation of fucking government ordinance. It's just weird, man. Because the main enemy was bureaucracy. So you were a terrorist if you went around the bureaucracy. Pretty cool. It's kind of comedy, too.
Yeah, it's like a black comedy.
Like a black comedy, yeah.
But, yeah, I thought we'd reviewed it. I thought it sounded, like, familiar. And I knew that we'd watched it a few years ago.
Yeah, a few years ago.
So I thought, yeah, but I'm trying to think of, like, what other Terry Gilliam have we... I know I reviewed Tideland probably last year. But I can't remember what other Terry Gilliam we did. But I don't think we've done Time Bandits, but maybe we did. I have to look it up. Yeah, Ben says one of Terry Gilliam's best films, like 1984 on Acid.
Yeah, he must be talking about
Brazil, yeah. Xánada said Brazil holds a 98% rating on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those movies that pretty much everybody agrees is fucking awesome.
It's real deep. Well made, artistic. Got a lot of messaging in it. It's good.
Ben says Baron Munchausen. Yeah, we definitely have not done Baron Munchausen. The Adventures of Baron Munchausen. But I would like to do that because that was a trip also. He's made a lot of really good movies, Terry Gilliam. All right, so are you ready to wrap it up?
Yep.
Oh, Danny said, yeah, you did review Time Bandits. Oh, okay.
Okay.
See, we've done so many movies that I forget, like, which ones we do. Maybe we should do Naked Lunch next. I just keep seeing it, like, on the streaming, and I'm like, I kind of want to watch that again.
Naked Lunch is fucking surreal.
I liked it.
Yeah.
I remember I watched it, because me and my friend, whose name was also Jen, back in the 80s and 90s, we used to rent movies, like, all the time, like, every weekend, and we always liked really weird shit, so it's like, we watched all the weird shit, like, from back then.
That stars the dude that played RoboCop. What's his name?
Yeah.
What's that guy's name?
Yeah.
I forgot his name. Dude that played RoboCop.
Peter Weller.
Peter Weller. He plays the writer.
Yeah.
He's having sex with his insectoid fucking typewriter.
Yeah.
And all the
as one does.
Yeah, and like other things happen. Everything turns alive. He has sex with it. It's weird, man.
That's probably what would really happen if, like,
powder,
dude's like, everything just comes to life. Dude's like, you know what? I'm gonna fuck it.
Yeah. He's snorting insecticide.
Yeah.
It's like a drug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy.
It's a crazy fucking movie.
Maybe we should do that next week. Because, like I said, I keep seeing it. Like, I don't remember what streaming service it's on. One of the ones that I look at all the time, and I'm just like, oh, I haven't seen that movie in so long. I remember really liking it.
Yeah, it's all practical effects, and it's wild.
Yeah. Because I think that's from the 90s, too, isn't it?
Yeah.
If I remember correctly. It's been a while. Xana said you guys haven't reviewed Brazil. I checked.
We haven't? Okay.
Oh, all right. I could have sworn that we did. Okay, maybe we did Time Bandits, but not... Like I said, I know I did Tideland, but I did that by myself. So, I don't know. We'll see what we can see. And like I said, maybe we'll do Naked Lunch, because I kind of want to watch it again. But yeah, all right. So, everybody have a happy New Year's Day. Hopefully your first day of 2024 was good. We will be back on Wednesday night for our regular show. We're going to do military mishaps.
Yeah.
So, remember, because you were talking about the plane that dropped the atomic bombs on North Carolina and all that kind of stuff. So, we'll talk about that kind of stuff. I mostly kind of want to talk about kind of ones that are funnier.
Yeah.
But maybe people died, but it was still kind of funny just because it was, like, so ridiculous. But I don't know. But if you have any recommendations for what I should cover, then let me know. Because I have a bunch that I set aside. But we'll see how that goes. Now, tomorrow, I might... Don't hold me to this. I might put up my history of horror video tomorrow because it's all recorded. I'm just working on editing it at the moment. So if I get it edited, then I'll put it up tomorrow. But if not, then I'll probably put it up Thursday. But it'll be up this week for sure because I got it all recorded and I got most of the stuff kind of working on it. I just have to kind of put all the pieces together, you know what I mean? Which takes a while, but we'll see how that goes. But, you know. All right. So have a good evening, you guys. And we'll see you guys again on Wednesday night. Good night.